Previously on the Lawrence Pendlebury adventures. According to one theory, in the beginning there was an almighty universe-expanding fart, which somehow produced a gigantic turtle with 4 elephants on its back, supporting a flattened version of the world. Nothing much happened after that, apart from the odd quantum hiccup, until several years later when Laura Pendlebury discovered her great-grandfather's notebooks and constructed a time machine that resembled a red telephone box. Unfortunately, following some major buggering about, she and Polly Jenkins accidentally started the Great War. In the ensuing melee, Laura was shot. She was transformed into Lawrence. He and Polly then set about correcting the mess they'd made, which made it even worse. They travelled to hell, they journeyed to heaven, creating several spin-off series or recurring characters en route. However, ultimately, they corrected nothing. Eventually, the accident-prone pair arrived at the Great Projector, where they set about dismantling history, but were blown to pieces in the process. In a last-ditched attempt to save existence, Polly somehow managed to set the reality dial to carry on mode before the explosion. In the meantime, 4 assholes in the apostrophe were drowning their sorrows in the boar's head over a pint of Thackeray's Old Bastard.
What are you prattling on about, Duncan Smith, you disgusting egg-headed clown? You can't resign just because the apostrophe crushed one senile biddy. Even if it was your auntie, you committed genocide wherever you've ridden your idiotic donkey across this festering galaxy, you stinking testicle-domed hypocrite.
Boris, the TV. We're going to establish an independent universe attached to the main one, but separate enough so that we don't have to answer to God, morality, or the intergalactic courts of human rights. What's more, the plebeians are right behind us, because they're frightened of people with slightly darker skin. So far, we have the backing of every resident involved in Cleveland. Apparently, they enjoy being buggered senseless by inbred mythical bastards.
Lovely jubbly, suck my big blonde bollocks, Cameron. Win for Team Boris.
Well, I'm heading off back home to Eton. I miss my old choir master and those comforting long winter evenings spent with me breeches around my ankles in front of a roaring log fire, acting as the Commons Room toast.
By the way, has anyone seen my child? About 2 years old in a wheelchair. Got a label attached to its duffel coat with the words "Property of the Conservative Party Props Department" written on it. I left it here last time we stopped off for a Farage-style PR stunt.
Yeah, you looking at my pint, you chinless Etonian puff. Get them Porsche reactions out your empties and son off back to your own upper crust universe.
The Lawrence Pendlebury Audio Adventures, Episode 8, the one where Chandler inexplicably loses loads of weight.
His name is Lawrence Pendlebury. He raises a dingleberry. He's buggered up the universe and now he's going to make it worse, but we'd require another verse to explain it all properly.
Apparently, before everything started, or so the quantum theorists inform us, there existed nothing more tangible than fluctuating points of potentiality, countless billions of probability waves or possibility particles. You never can tell, all waiting for one single observer to collapse them into something altogether more solid. A bit like one of Anne Widdecombe's stool samples, when you come to think of it. There never was a Big Bang as such, which in Anne Widdecombe's case was obviously a favourable outcome. More of a big observation, conducted by some random consciousness that up until that point had never very much cared for anything beyond strictly condensating. In that solitary instant, reality was born, along with the whole of history and whatever indefinable nothingness came before it. Time, you see, is also an illusion. Self-awareness creates its own timeline by following logical progression, although when it comes to Lawrence and Polly, logic doesn't enter the equation. This might explain why the latter was currently covered from head to toe in plaster casts, crazed with scribble, and the former was gurning through the hospital window.
Polly, the mutated life raft. Reality hasn't been changed yet. We're still stuck in the mainframe. Apparently, this is just a preview mode.
Well, didn't the Great Projector explode? Shouldn't we be spread across the firmament like Kim Kardashian's arse?
Not according to the theory of quantum immortality, which states that because reality requires consciousness to exist, any attempt to destroy it simply shunts that consciousness into the nearest parallel universe, or something. I recommend the listener looks it up on Wikipedia, or we could be here all night. Now, hold on. Well, that's better. You've no idea how difficult it is talking through a cushion.
Does this mean what I think it means?
I've no idea. I wouldn't even hazard a guess at how your shriveled working-class brain works. From your perspective, it could mean anything from feeling the necessity to wave flags at some baby-eating demon in a tiara, to blaming disabled people for ruining the economy, despite the fact that 30-odd bankers are standing outside the front door wiping their asses on banknotes.
Actually, I was going to suggest we could retune reality to a more appropriate setting before these 1970s cretins return with their massive, hairy double entendres, you pompous middle-class twat.
Meanwhile, back in God's kitchen nightmares, the massive bearded work of religious fiction could sense in his non-existent bones that... Who are you calling fiction, you arrogant little dagnut? Sorry, I'll read that again. Our massive bearded, benevolent and above all peace-loving Lord could sense that all wasn't going according to his master plan. Not that we're suggesting God, in his infinite wisdom, is fallible, just that occasionally those blasphemous atheists screw things up for him.
Well, Australia here is overcooked and Canada is way too bland. There's no f***ing taste to it, mate. And Mate, what's that smell coming out of America? It stinks like a rancid Trump. You need to start behaving more professionally, mate.
Exactly who are you, you insufferable turd?
The name's Ramsey. Fixer upper of crappy restaurants, dodgy hotels and badly run universes. For a nominal fee, deposited in the Ramsey Barbados Offshore Poorly Kills Trust, I'll turn up on your doorstep, tell you how crap you are, insult your family, in your sink, and for an extra tenner, punch your grandmother in the gob on your way out. And what gives with all this censorship?
Somebody's complained about the amount of profanity we've been using. The producers decided that from here on in we're only allowed one F-word per episode, so we're saving it for Jeremy Hunt.
You need to f***ing grow a pair, big man. Are you God or a f***ing mouse?
Still God, it appears, with a big fingertip. Now where was I? Ah, yes, something's gone wrong with Armageddon, and I'm not talking about that bloody awful film. The four assholes of the apostrophe should have been home ages ago. My apocalyptic hordes of avenging angels are just standing around outside the pearly gate smoking dog ends. I'd better get in touch with BLZ to find out what's happening. Hello? Anybody down there? Come with us now, dear listener, as we follow God's celestial speaking tube, snaking down from his enormous, peace-loving lips across the endless firmament where, occasionally, it trips up a passing spacecraft, through the clusters of nebulae known as the outer Sphere, where infant navel beasts are using it as a skipping rope, around the Kuiper belt in a typical out-of-sight tangled, not-foreigner scenario, and across the rafters of the all-encircling barrier, before plummeting into Hades, where the mouthpiece on the other end hangs above the elephant-foot umbrella stand, beside the dread portal.
Morning, boss. Hold on, I'll just check. Yeah, we're busy down here right now. Lord Sewell held one of his infamous bondage parties last night. Unfortunately, the Duke of Tunbridge Wells was given the release word, and he's rather prone to 40 winks. Now the place is crawling with doddering aristocrats all complaining about the heating not being turned up high enough.
I say, you, Waller, the red-faced chappie with the barber's nose. My name's Lord Farquhar Shaftesbury St. John Small, Willie, and down to Duchess of Glamorgan, don't you know? What you gonna do about that snivelling Jeremy fucking Hunt? The bloody scoundrel's trying to privatise my own damn torture chamber beneath me stuck-up nose. I demand only the finest old-fashioned personal move put on. None of this backstreet NHS toenail-pulling nonsense with grubby brows, what?
Here we go, boss. According to the records, Lawrence Pendlebury and Polly Jenkins have somehow managed to reach the Great Projector, and are even now attempting to halt the apocalypse in its tracks. Yes, I don't know how they managed to work out your last cryptic message either.
It's never been the same since those bloody meat types came over here and inherited our jobs. I say, boy, are you listening to me, you grotty bat-winged oig?
Righty-ho, boss. I'll set the pepper pots on 'em straight away. Must rush. I've got a pitchfork to personally stick up an old bastard's arse.
If astronomers had ever bothered to look, no doubt they would have found by now, perched on the end of Orion's codpiece, the evolutionary cul-de-sac known as Scab. Here the most heinous, idiotic and unmenacing race of metal mutants in the cosmos. The Pepperpots were enjoying their annual Harvest Festival dinner dance at the Jeremy Clarkson Memorial Hall. As dozens of badly constructed dustbins whirled and collided, guyed and gimbled like really crap dodgems across the parquet floor, two old flames found themselves rekindling an almost forgotten affair.
Oh, Captain Obadiah Coffee Grinder Pepperpot, take me in your egg whisk and sink plunger. Tonight has been one long swirling vortex of romance.
My dearest Melinda Obtuse Wastepaper Basket Pepperpot, I'm so caught up in the moment that my overhead camshaft is currently stiffer than Nicolas Cage's performance in The Wicker Man.
We're still waiting for that second episode so we can land, you know. Hold on tight to the manky doorstep where the goat. Where's he gone?
Is it just me, or is that joke getting a bit tiresome now?
Oh, it's meant to be funny, is it? Right you are, BL. Alright, listen up, fellow Pepperpots, genetically mutated masters of the galaxy, Marks and Spencer's bargain basement, and other selected ironmongers. Lawrence Pendlebury and Polly Jenkins are swornest enemies. Swarmiest, most sworn enemies are even now attempting to dismantle history from within the Great Projector, and in the process bring a halt to the apocalypse.
Not very What apocalypse? I thought this was the Harvest Festival dance.
Mutant comrades and assaulted +1s, prepare your methane-propelled peppercrafts. This time we will annihilate those meddling humans. Once more, unto the baggy checkered breeches, dear Pendlebury.
Procrastinators, testing, get already dated.
You could have let me finish my Volavod first.
If
Is anybody following this? The bloody plot appears to be shooting off all over the place, a bit like John Prescott at that Secretarial Union's annual conference. Well, hopefully our single listener is following it at any rate. I wouldn't like to think we're wasting our time. Anyhow, back inside the Great Projector, Lawrence and Polly are just about to turn the reality dial. They're currently weighing up the options for the universe's new desktop theme. It might be a good idea to see how they're getting on.
What's it gonna be then? Polly, me sweaty sack of liver, wacky drainpipes, unconvincing aquarium, Game of Thrones wallpaper? Actually, given that I've never watched it, that one might result in an extremely inaccurate and surreal plot. Utopian perfection, perhaps?
No, I wouldn't trust it. I was a waitress for the Puntlefield Ladies Guild once, and beneath these perfect, albeit wrinkled exteriors, you could sense the decades of repressed bile stewing ominously like some gigantic boil about to spew 6,000 tons of pus across their hot pot supper. It was like the step from Mills.
Medievalism, then. The Tory cabinet had virtually dragged everybody back there anyhow, so it wouldn't make much difference. We could have an historical adventure for once. Take the series back to its grassroots, or, as is more likely, back to mud cobbles and oxen shit. Apparently, we're in Blackpool town centre, Midsummer's Eve 2140, although it actually resembles the outskirts of Stownline on a damp Friday morning.
I wouldn't know, I'm still encased in plaster.
Hold on, it's just a projection, we'll soon have you out.
Right, now I'm naked.
Good gee, that's very clever. It's Moby Dick. Oh wait, it's just Mrs. Jenkins au naturel, although that's stretching the term considerably. Yes, it's us again, and we're still waiting for that second episode, Pendlebottom. Can't hold on much longer. Me arms are starting to resemble Mr. Tickles now, and poor old Weather Butterfly's tudger's become so elongated from me swinging on it, it started stuffing buns up its ass.
At least I've got me hat back.
According to the always accurate and never biased goldmine of information known as Wikipedia, medievalism is the system of belief and practice characteristic of the Middle Ages or devotion to elements of that period. According to Lawrence and Polly, who right at that moment were experiencing the elements of that period firsthand, it also stank like Eric Pickle's knee pits after a night spent wrestling naked with Boris Johnson in David Cameron's favourite pigsty.
It's not too bad if you ignore the tottering steaming dunghills and the half-raised chickens with mange. Let's take our soundings from this grubby peasant in the striped Aztec-style bobble hat with ear flaps up to his knees in marsh whilst pointlessly holding a cow on a
Shall I
rope.
put some clothes on first? I'm getting chilblains on me bottom. Patrick Moore will be out here shortly with his cartographical equipment.
Marrying uncle, how when's the day? Prithee, squire, what standard of living doth this medievalism provide? And is thy local tipple any cop, me old witchetty rubber?
What's wrong with you twat?
We just want to know if it's worth using medievalism as the model for reality.
The spirit of the bogs and underbrush protectors, a mammoth bare naked witch, all pink and blancmange-like, wearing naught but her disgusting floppy hat of midnight. Fetch the kittens of evil, we're all doomed.
Alright, mate, calm down. We had all that in the first episode of Series 1, we're not doing it again. So this medievalism malarkey, shag, marry or murder.
It's alright if you subscribe to feudalism and argy-bargy. We drink now but beer, our women are toothless with faces what resemble cows' rectums during the foot and mouth season, but agricultural rotation systems that are bad. We're an illiterate, superstitious lot, worrying ourselves sick about ghosts and paediatricians all the time, and we believe that if you travel further than Leighton, you fall off the edge of the world. Oh yeah, and we all smell of horse shit.
So it's pretty much like modern day Blackpool.
Lawrence, as much as I hate to interrupt your social dissertation on the underclass, we appear to have company.
Buggering Laura pepper pots, hundreds of them in their spluttering Meccano-built peppercrafts, and they look angrier than David Cameron when he's been caught by the paparazzi in the disabled toilets at Waterloo Station in flagrante with Doris the Worcestershire Old Spot.
How can you tell they're annoyed? They're just bits of scrap metal inexpertly welded together.
They've drawn frowning eyebrows on top of their eye stalks and felt tip.
You have been listening to the Lawrence Pendlebury Audio Adventures, Episode 8, The Handshank Redemption, starring, in order of demerit, Brian Hughes as Gilbert O'Sullivan, Jerry Sedgwick as Colonel Pickering, and Carrie Black as Kirstie Alley's Weight Reduction Program. The music was provided by Kevin MacLeod's Big Society, and the sound effects produced by dangling a ball of bacon fat over Cyril Smith's coffin before prodding his corpse with a disinfected barge pole. Don't forget to tune in next time, Pendlebury Brains, for Episode 9, Greg Samsaw vs. Rent-A-Kill.
Good morning. My, what a handsome young man. Such a magnificent beard. My name is Jezebel Pork Scratching, and this is my mousy, rather flat-chested octogenarian but still available companion in religious fortitude, Eliza Talbot Tuft. We're representatives of the Kingdom Hall in Thornton Cleaves. We were wondering if you'd ever thought about God.
Well, actually...
Funny you should mention that. According to the Bible, you're committing a sin if you don't cough up £5 for the ladies, each, this instant.
And then spank them with a table tennis paddle over an upturned beer barrel.
Jeremy fucking Hunt.